Hello there, welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and tonight I'm showing you some simple techniques to elevate a quick scrapbook layout. We're going to be using the Boho Vibes Collection, and I'm scrapping some photos from a weekend retreat that I recently helped host, and this is my friend Melissa. Melissa and I have been paper crafting together for a long while now, and we're on a YouTube hop together. She's super crafty. You can see her over at Cards by Melissa, and we had an opportunity to meet her and along with a bunch of other of my paper crafting friends who I've never met in person who participated in a friends event. So I thought it would be perfect, because our event was called Peace, Love, and Paper Crafting, to use our Good Vibes set. So the first thing I did is I did a little stamp surgery, and we have a stamp that says sending good vibes that makes it feel like a card sentiment. But I created a couple Polaroids because Polaroids screamed boho 70s to me, and they are 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to add a little Daffodil Delight sun ray on the bottom of one of the Polaroids. Then I'm going to add Good Vibes with Secret C, and I thought by doing stamp surgery and snipping that stamp off the top, instead of saying sending good vibes felt a little bit more like a scrapbook page, and you can put photopolymer stamps right back together on the block after you've performed stamp surgery, and they stamp just fine without a line or anything. Now I grabbed a tab from our tab punch, and I also used the Daffodil Delight ink and stamped some of the speckled dots from the Good Vibes stamp. Gonna come back in with Secret C and stamp hello. Again, hello could be very much a card making sentiment, but I really feel like it's a good generic sentiment on scrapbook pages as well. How many times do we just say, oh, hello, to say hello to the subject of our photos? So I have some 4x4 pieces here of Cajun Craze for the interior piece of the Polaroid. So I'm going to make my photos just a tiny bit smaller. You're going to see that there's some orange that isn't in the collection that are in our photos with the hippie van in the back. And so I'm going to add some orange photo mats, I think pumpkin pie. But I thought a simple way to elevate a quick and easy scrapbook layout is hidden journaling. So I'm going to take the strips, foam strips that we have. They're perfect, they're thin. I'm going to put them on 3 sides of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 Polaroid, so that I can create a hidden journal pocket that tucks right inside. So even though I only have 2 photos, I could definitely use flip flaps and turn those 2 photos into 6 photos, but I also now have a little hidden spot for a little hidden journal piece. So I can even put a piece of foam across the bottom to stop that from going all the way down. And then we're going to add some flourishes and things on the top. So this layout was actually a make and take. So I was in charge of one of the other make and takes, the make and takes for this Peace, Love, and Paper Crafting event. It was a team event, and 10 other people created make and takes as well. And we shuffled our make and takes in 20-minute increments. So we needed to create something that was cute but fast. So that's the whole purpose of this layout. It's quick and easy. So I also created a Boho Vibes layout here as a swap, and it has Secret C cardstock in it with splatters of white gloss spray. So on my base here, I actually have a piece of Secret C celebratory sips pattern paper that was left over, and it's 7 by 12, but it's cut on a diagonal at about 2 3/4 inches. So if you cut from 2 3/4 inches from the bottom all the way up to the top corner of the 7-inch piece, you get that angular piece. But you really could use Secret C cardstock if you don't have any celebratory sips pattern paper. It would work great, and you could even splatter it. Now I have a 1/2-inch strip of Daffodil Delight, and of course a 12-inch strip isn't going to be long enough when you start talking about angles. So I'm going to snip it in the middle because it's going to be covered up in the middle with the photos, so it will will be like a faux strip. Now I'm going to use an edge distresser to distress the edges of all of my pattern papers. So I have 2 pattern papers from the Boho Vibes collection that are 3x3, and then I have the striped Boho Vibes pattern paper that is 3x6. Now you don't have to have a fancy edge distresser. You can simply use the side of your scissors. Now there's kind of a longer side and a shorter side of the scissors. If you use the longer side, it will distress just like an edge distresser. I have a couple little pieces of the diagonal striped Secrecy pattern paper. One is 1.5 by 3 and one is 3/4 by 3 that we're going to use as some decorative elements. And then the only other piece of pattern paper I have is also a 3x6 cut on a diagonal from the upper right corner to the lower left corner, and it's going to create a little peekaboo triangle, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So it's always a trick when you're making make and takes for an event to make them simple enough that you can teach to large groups quickly. And so there are a lot of things that we could do to this layout to completely elevate it over the top. We could do ink blending, background stamping, we could doodle with a white gel pen or a black journal pen. There are a lot of things that we could do, but I wanted to focus on simple elevations that are super quick that I could do with the group. So this ended up being the make and take for the entire group. We had about 90, I think, paper crafters there from several of our Connected Hearts teams, and it was so much fun. It was so fun to see everyone have so much joy being together. It was just amazing, and the ladies that were participating and hosting it with me were incredible. So what we're going to do on this lower right side as a very simple elevation technique is we're just going to put adhesive on that 3x6 triangle there. So we're going to fold it back or crease it back with the 1.5x3 striped diagonal piece peeking out under the bottom. So we've quickly and easily made a little peekaboo piece, and we're going to actually tuck some flourishes and some leaves into that angled peekaboo piece to finish it off and put some foam tape on it. We're going to arrange the 3x6 and the 2 3x3 Boho Vibes pattern paper pieces underneath the Polaroids. And we'll decorate a little bit with the tab that we created and with that little 3/4x3 strip that we created. Now we know that our hidden journal is going to go under that right photo, and we're going to need something to pull up that hidden journaling spot. So we're going to make a little cluster with some different leaves and things to be able to have a pull tab to pull that up. Another simple, easy elevation technique is using punches to make little tabs, and then using those tabs as decorations or embellishments or as pull tabs for hidden journal spots. So I ended up using this layout as a gift. So we had a friends event for just 2 hours. So we had a weekend event for the team members, but we invited people outside of the team that were either friends or customers, fellow paper crafters, to come in for 2 hours and create several cards from our card kits and receive a gift and have treats with us and visit with us. And Melissa was just one of my friends who came to this event and drove 2 hours. I even had paper crafters that drove 6 hours, and I had paper crafters that I'll be doing many more scrapbooking pages with those paper crafters and friends of mine that came to the Friends event, and you know who you are. We've got Kim and Jan and London and Laura and oh my gosh, so many, Melissa, Michelle, and I'm so excited to scrap them. But I was walking downstairs and we were getting ready for the Friends event, and Melissa must have shown up a couple minutes early, and as I turned the corner, I saw her and I recognized her right away, and I just screamed like a girl, and I ran to her and we hugged, and it was so cool how the love of paper crafting brings people together from all over the world. We had never met after all these years of paper crafting together, and it was so great to just see her and hug her in person and have fun. I love it. And I had the same experience with some of my other paper crafting friends from my Snips by Kelly paper crafting group and new friends friends. And then other demonstrators like me had friends that came to the event as well. So it was so much fun to create with them for a couple hours during this weekend event. So you can see that I've used Daffodil Delight, and I've punched out a hexagon, and I've cut that in half. And then I've also punched out a 1-inch circle punch in Daffodil Delight. Now I often use punches for my landing spots for clusters. It's really nice to build little bits and pieces on top of some landing spots, and then you can adhere them together, and they're movable parts so that you can move them around. And they have a little landing spot, so a little spot that you can put the adhesive on so that the cluster sticks out and stands out. And I love being able to just use random punches for that. It's so quick and easy. Now I've created this rainbow from the Boho Vibes die set, Good Vibes die set, excuse me. And it creates the rainbow base, and I created the rainbow base again out of some leftover celebratory sips paper. And then it creates the front. If you put the two dies together, it creates the front of the rainbow, and it also creates all the different rainbow pieces. Now I've purposely left one strip in the middle open because I'm going to add some leaf flourishes to that. All of the leaf flourishes also came from the Good Vibes stamp and die set, except for a couple of the smaller leaves I robbed out of a couple other sets. I believe one was Amber Autumn and one was Autumn Impressions or Autumn Expressions. I always forget the name of that. Let me double check that. Autumn Expression. So I was looking for tiny leaves, and we have some really gorgeous large leaf sets this year, but the Autumn Expressions has this cute little tiny leaf in it. So now I've created that rainbow, and I've also created a couple clusters on top of the half hexagon. And I'm going to create a little cluster on top of the punch out circle. And then we're going to tuck that little punch out circle under that little peekaboo element that we made down to the right. And we're going to tuck those under and add a foam dot under there, or a foam dimensional, and tape that down. So what a quick and easy way to sort of add a little jazz or a little elevation to your page. So now we have a quick and easy hidden journal pocket. We have a little peekaboo corner as an elevation. We have several clusters, and we have some quick and easy stamping with some background stamping on the Polaroids and on the tab. We've used punches to be able to make it quicker and easier to do our clusters, and we've done an inexpensive elevation by edge distressing. And I love that. I love that we were able to put this layout together in 20 minutes or less. Of course, it was pre-cut, so I don't want to be deceiving. You have to cut your bits and you have to pre-cut your pieces, but it is such a basic layout, and it would be very easy to duplicate a companion page for this, which I probably need to do because I have so many friends from the Friends event that I want to be able to scrap. It was just so fun to see them. And if you've never checked out Melissa over at Cards by Melissa Miner, she is the most bubbly personality. Like, she just radiates this giggly, bubbly, fun personality. And I mean, what an adventurous spirit to just say, I'm going to hop in the car and drive 2 hours and go see Kelly, this person who I've never met in person. And I believe it's Jan and Kim, a couple of my paper crafting friends, drove 6.5 hours for the Friends event. And then I had some that were also local. I love it that they did that. I just love it. So now I'm adding a few of the dots that come with this collection, and I'm adding those around. And now it's time to add my photos and my journaling. So on this, I noticed that the orange is really coming out in the little minivan. And there's also some oranges in our backdrop. So I added a little bit of a pumpkin pie around the photos. So the photos are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I went up 1/8 of an inch with pumpkin pie, with a pumpkin pie photo mat, and then mounted that on that 4 by 4 Cajun craze. And it's a trick I use a lot to just tie in and colors that aren't in the original collection. So then where I had that blank spot on the rainbow, I cut 2 more of the little leaf flourishes that we used in the clusters above, but I cut those in pumpkin pie as well, just to add that tiny little bit of orange to help draw out or balance out the orange in the minivans in the background. We had such fun photo props, and we had little rainbows and guitars and these little cars, and it was just such a playful theme. Now, Boho Vibes to me is not just about 70s and eclectic. It's a really, really great fall theme. It has all of the fall colors in it. It would work great, not just with all of the rainbow theme, but it would also work great with sunflowers and fall flowers and wheatgrass and pampas grass. And I think that I'll be making quite a few fall layouts with this as well. So now I'm ready to insert those photos of Melissa and I and document the story of us meeting for the very first time, even though we've paper crafted together. Do you guys have any paper crafting friends that you became friends with in the paper crafting community online, but that you've never met in person? Isn't it amazing how you can feel like neighbors and friends just because of the love of paper crafting bringing you together? I love that. All right, I'm getting happy. I've added some distressing with an edge distresser. I've added clusters on top of punches. We added background stamping on top of stamps that could have been considered card making stamps that made great scrapbooking stamps. We've made a peekaboo corner with a cluster. We've made a hidden journal pocket with a pull tab that has a little cluster on it, and all of that quickly and easily with all of those little elevations. I really hope you love this Boho Vibes layout and the Good Vibes stamp and die. I hope that you will hit like, subscribe, the notifications bell, and you'll come back soon for more right here on Snips by Kelly.